Commander Zextrol slammed their fist on the holographic display, scattering the star chart across the command center. Several junior officers flinched as the commander's exoskeleton flushed a dangerous shade of crimson. "This classification makes no logical sense," Zextrol hissed through specialized breathing apparatus. "Run the verification protocol again." Lieutenant Mexvor hesitated before responding. "Commander, we'd verified the designation 7 times. Earth maintains a Gamma-9 classification in all Confederation databases." Zextrol's 4 primary eyes narrowed to slits. A Gamma-9 designation, reserved for quantum singularities, unstable neutron stars, and civilizations that posed existential threats to galactic stability. Yet this Earth was a pre-FTL world whose inhabitants still fought with chemical propellants and hadn't even unified their planetary government. "Someone's career will end over this clerical error," Zextrol muttered, stalking toward the observation portal. Beyond the reinforced transparisteel, the Confederation capital's crystalline spires stretched toward the amber sky of Nexus Prime. The communication console chimed. "Priority message from High Command," announced the communications officer. Zextrol straightened their ceremonial mantle. "Privacy mode." The message was brief but shocking. The Confederation Strategic Council had selected Zextrol personally to lead an investigation into Earth's classification. The mission would depart within 3 orbital cycles. As Zextrol strode through the docking bay toward the sleek stealth vessel Shadowdancer, whispers followed. Either this was a career-ending assignment or a fast track to Admiralty. No one approached a Gamma-9 designation without careful calculation. "Commander Zextrol." The voice came from behind a cargo loader. Zextrol's hand instinctively moved toward their phase disruptor as a figure emerged from the shadows. Admiral Kextalon, one of the oldest living members of the Confederation Navy. The Admiral's exoskeleton had faded to pale blue with age, and 3 of their secondary limbs had been replaced with cybernetic prosthetics. "Admiral," Zextrol acknowledged with a formal gesture of respect. "I was not informed you would be overseeing the launch." "This is unofficial," the Admiral replied, glancing nervously at the docking bay's surveillance nodes. "Walk with me." They moved between massive supply crates being loaded onto the Shadowdancer. The Admiral's voice dropped to a whisper. 200 cycles ago, I led an exploratory fleet to Sector 2814. 3 of my ships never returned. Zextrol's respiratory rate increased. Earth's sector. "The official records were purged," the Admiral continued, "but I kept personal logs." From beneath their ceremonial garments, the Admiral produced a small crystal data storage device. "The danger isn't what you expect, Commander. It's not their weapons or their technology." "Then what?" "It's their minds. Their adaptability." The Admiral's primary eyes clouded with memory. "What they lack in technological advancement, they compensate for with terrifying innovation under pressure. They learn too quickly." The Admiral paused as a docking bay worker passed nearby. "Take this. Review it in private. And remember, at the first sign of detection, withdraw immediately." Before Zextrol could demand clarification, the Admiral disappeared into the busy docking bay, leaving only the unauthorized data crystal and a growing sense of unease. As the Shadowdancer prepared for departure, Zextrol stood on the command bridge, studying the unremarkable blue-green world in the ship's database. What could possibly make such a primitive species dangerous enough to warrant galaxy-wide quarantine? Soon, they would find out. "Fascinating creatures," Lieutenant Vexnera murmured, manipulating the 3-dimensional display of human biological scans. "Inefficient respiratory system, limited sensory range, yet their neural structure." The xenobiologist's voice trailed off as they zoomed in on a human brain model. 7 standard days had passed since the Shadowdancer entered Earth orbit, cloaked from detection by technology 3,000 years beyond human capability. The initial caution inspired by Admiral Kextalon's warning had faded, replaced by growing skepticism among the crew. "They're fighting over colored paper," remarked Navigator Ponzin, observing a news broadcast about a human economic dispute and killing each other over invisible territorial boundaries. Commander Zex Troll watched silently as the monitoring stations displayed multiple ongoing human conflicts. Their civilization seemed perpetually fractured, wasteful, and short-sighted. "This classification is truly absurd," Weapons Officer Trollbach said, not for the first time. "They don't even register our presence despite us being right above them." Zex Troll had yet to view the Admiral's data crystal, preoccupied with establishing observation protocols. The logical conclusion seemed increasingly obvious. Earth's classification was either outdated or erroneous. "Perhaps we should collect physical samples," Vexnera suggested, displaying a remote area of the northern hemisphere. This Siberian region is sparsely populated. A small team could touch down, gather specimens, and return without detection. Protocol prohibited direct contact with pre-integration civilizations, but Zex Troll found themselves agreeing. A brief excursion would conclusively demonstrate Earth's harmlessness and expedite their return to the Confederation. "Assemble a 4-member team," Zex Troll ordered. "Minimal equipment, maximum stealth." The landing shuttle departed 6 hours later, piloted by Lieutenant Kivnera with 3 science specialists aboard. Their mission was simple: collect biological samples, soil specimens, and atmospheric readings before returning to the Shadowdancer. 2 hours into the mission, Zex Troll received the landing team's first report. Touchdown successful. No signs of detection. Beginning collection procedures. Precisely 43 minutes later, as Zex Troll was reviewing propulsion efficiency reports, Communications Officer Yexelen interrupted with visible agitation. "Commander, we've lost contact with the landing party." Zex Troll rose immediately. Last transmission. Mid-sentence, Lieutenant Kivnera was describing a biological sample when the signal terminated. Location of their shuttle. The navigation officer hesitated. "That's concerning, Commander. The shuttle is moving." On the main display, a blinking indicator showed the landing craft traveling at high velocity toward a complex identified in Confederation records as a military research facility in the region humans called Russia. "That's impossible," Zex Troll whispered. "The stealth systems remain operational," confirmed the technology officer. "But the shuttle is definitely under external control." Zex Troll ordered an immediate rescue mission. The secondary shuttle, armed with defensive capabilities, departed with 6 security personnel. Their instructions were clear: retrieve the landing party and all Confederation technology, avoiding human casualties when possible. The rescue team maintained communication until reaching the facility. Their final transmission contained only 3 words: they were waiting. 4 hours later, long-range surveillance revealed both shuttles partially disassembled inside a hastily repurposed aircraft hangar. Human scientists in protective gear methodically examined Confederation technology, documenting everything with primitive but effective recording devices. Most disturbing was the facility's security footage, intercepted by the Shadowdancer systems. It showed the humans had detected the invisible shuttle using simple infrared technology that identified its heat signature against the cold Siberian background. They had deployed electromagnetic pulse weapons that targeted the shuttle's vulnerable propulsion nodes, a weakness the humans should have had no way of deducing. As Zex Troll watched humans reverse engineering technology that had taken the Confederation centuries to develop, Admiral Kex Talon's warning echoed ominously. It's their minds, their adaptability. And now 10 crew members and incalculable advanced technology had fallen into human hands. Third extraction team is returning. Mission failed. Commander Zex Troll didn't need to ask for details. The bridge crew's dejected postures told the story. Another perfectly planned rescue operation thwarted by humans who somehow anticipated their every move. 72 hours had passed since the initial landing party's capture. In that time, Zex Troll had deployed 3 separate extraction teams using progressively more advanced technology. Each attempt had been countered with alarming effectiveness. "Show me," Zex Troll ordered. The main display activated, showing the most recent operation. The extraction team had utilized phase shift technology, allowing them to exist slightly out of sync with normal spacetime, rendering them effectively invisible and intangible to less advanced species. Yet the footage showed human soldiers wearing crude but functional devices that emitted a counter-frequency, forcing the Confederation operatives back into normal phase where they were quickly captured. "This is impossible," Science Officer Mril Dax whispered. "They've adapted our phase shields in under 3 days. It took our scientists 15 years to perfect that technology." More disturbing was the evidence of human cooperation. The Shadow Dancer's communications array had intercepted thousands of transmissions between previously hostile nations, now sharing information at unprecedented rates. Military leaders who days earlier had been threatening each other were now coordinating global defense strategies. Scientists were publishing discoveries about Confederation technology on open channels, allowing worldwide collaboration. "They're unified," Zextrol realized, remembering Admiral Kextelon's crystal, still unviewed, "against us." "Commander," Communications Officer Yexelen called out, "we're receiving a directed transmission from the planet's surface. It's addressed specifically to you." On screen, the display shifted to show a human female wearing a formal military uniform, adorned with symbols of authority. Behind her stood representatives of various Earth nations, identifiable by their distinctive attire and physical characteristics. "This is General Amara Chen of the Earth Defense Coalition," the human began in a calm, measured voice that the ship's translation software rendered perfectly. "We know you're watching. We know where you are. We've studied your technology. Our terms are simple. Withdraw from Earth orbit immediately or witness humanity's full response to threats against our world." The bridge fell silent. The implications were staggering. Not only had humans detected their cloaked vessel, but they had also formed a global coalition, an achievement that Confederation intelligence had estimated would take them at least another century under normal conditions. "They perceive us as threats," First Officer Telvax noted. "We must correct this misunderstanding." Zextral's exoskeleton darkened with determination. "These primitives respond to displays of force. We will demonstrate our technological superiority without causing casualties. That should bring them to a reasonable negotiating position." Despite murmured objections from several senior officers, Zextral ordered a precision strike on an uninhabited island in Earth's Pacific Ocean, a demonstration that would showcase their power while respecting life. The weapons officer programmed the coordinates, and the Shadow Dancer's primary energy beam prepared to fire. As the countdown reached 0, the bridge crew watched the beam lance toward Earth's surface. No one anticipated what happened next. Instead of striking the uninhabited island, the energy beam encountered an invisible barrier 100 kilometers above Earth's surface. For a fraction of a second, the beam seemed to hesitate. Then it reflected, redirecting itself back toward the Shadow Dancer with perfect precision. The ship rocked violently as the beam sliced through its port stabilizers. Emergency alarms blared as atmosphere vented into space. "Impossible," Weapons Officer Trelvox shouted over the chaos. "They've created a deflection array using components from our captured shuttles." As damage control teams rushed to contain the breach, Zextral stared at the tactical display in stunned disbelief. The humans hadn't just adapted their technology. They had improved it. The Shadow Dancer's emergency sirens wailed as the crew fought to stabilize their damaged vessel. 3 engineering technicians had perished when the reflected energy beam breached the hull. The survivors worked frantically to seal compartments and restore critical systems. On the bridge, Commander Zextral gripped the command console as the ship shuddered under another impact. "Multiple incoming projectiles," announced the tactical officer, voice tight with stress. "Crude missiles, but they're equipped with our phase technology." "Evasive pattern Sigma 3, Zextral ordered. "Maximum distance from Earth orbit." The damaged ship lurched as it attempted to outmaneuver the human counterattack. Most missiles missed their mark, but 2 connected with devastating precision, targeting previously damaged sections. How? First Officer Telvax demanded of nobody in particular. How could they weaponize our technology so quickly? Zextrol had finally reviewed Admiral Kextalon's data crystal during the brief lull after the first attack. The contents, personal logs from a disastrous first contact 2 centuries earlier, now seemed less like paranoid ramblings and more like prophetic warnings. Humans don't think like us, Zextrol explained as the ship limped away from Earth. They evolved as prey species before becoming predators. Their entire history is adapting to threats or die. We gave them a new threat. The communications array suddenly activated without command input. On every screen throughout the ship appeared the face of General Chen, the human military leader who had delivered the earlier ultimatum. "You fired upon our world," she stated, her calm demeanor somehow more terrifying than anger would have been. That was unwise. Before Zextrol could respond, the transmission cut to footage from Earth's surface. It showed makeshift factories where humans in protective gear disassembled Confederation technology. Medical scanners were being converted into detection systems. Food synthesizers reconfigured as molecular manufacturing units. Communication arrays repurposed as energy weapons. The footage shifted to massive hangars where skeletal spacecraft were under hasty construction. Crude but recognizable approximations of Confederation vessel designs, clearly incorporating salvage technology from the captured shuttles. The transmission returned to General Chen. "We have learned much from your visits. Your technology, your tactics," her expression hardened, "and your star charts." The implication sent a wave of horror through the bridge crew. In their shuttle's navigation systems were the coordinates to every major Confederation world and outpost. "Surveillance drone launched from Earth's moon," reported the sensor officer. "It's tracking us." As the Shadowdancer fled Earth's solar system, long-range sensors revealed dozens of heat signatures rising from the planet's surface. The first wave of human spacecraft, primitive but deadly, equipped with retrofitted Confederation technology. Science Officer Mril Dax performed a hurried calculation based on the observed rate of human technological adaptation. At their current progression, they'll achieve functional FTL capability within 2 weeks. 2 weeks, a journey that had taken other species millennia. Zextrol made the decision that would forever alter the course of galactic history. Set course for Outpost Cronus. Maximum emergency speed. The outpost is defenseless. First Officer Telvax protested. "If the humans follow, they will follow," Zextrol interrupted. "And I need to access the restricted archives before they arrive. The Confederation must be warned." As the damaged ship limped toward the nearest outpost, Zextrol stared at the final image transmitted from Earth, a massive new vessel under construction, emblazoned with the name HSV Vengeance. The true meaning of Earth's danger classification was becoming terrifyingly clear. Outpost Cronus hung like a crystalline snowflake against the backdrop of a purple nebula, its delicate structures belying the fortress-level security protocols protecting its most valuable asset, the historical archives of the Galactic Confederation. The Shadowdancer limped into the docking bay, trailing coolant vapor from its damaged stabilizers. Commander Zextrol was the first to disembark, ignoring the shocked expressions of the outpost's personnel as they surveyed the battle damage. "I need immediate access to the restricted archives," Zextrol announced to the outpost commander, a thin-limbed administrator who had clearly never seen actual combat. "Security clearance Alpha Prime. Authorization code Nexus 7 Delta 3. That's highly irregular," the administrator stammered. "The archives require proper requisition protocols, and—" "Earth has our technology," Zextrol interrupted. "And our star charts. We have hours, not days." The word Earth transformed the administrator's demeanor instantly. Without further objection, Zextrol was escorted to the lowest level of the outpost, where the most sensitive information in the Confederation was stored. The archives occupied a vast chamber, its walls lined with crystalline data matrices that pulsed with soft blue light. In the center stood Archivist Talmec, Eldest of the Knowledge Keepers, their exoskeleton faded to almost translucent white with age. "I have felt this day approaching," the ancient archivist said, their voice barely above a whisper. "You seek the Earth records." It wasn't a question. Talmec gestured with trembling upper limbs, and a section of the floor slid away to reveal a hidden access terminal. "The file is called The Seven Extinctions," Talmec explained, bypassing multiple security protocols with practiced ease. "Earth is not unknown to us, Commander. It is quarantined." A holographic display flickered to life, showing familiar images of the blue-green planet, but the data timestamps stretched back thousands of years. Zextrol's crew gathered around as Talmec began the briefing. 7 advanced civilizations have attempted to conquer, colonize, or simply contact Earth, the archivist explained. All 7 now exist only in archaeological records. The hologram shifted to show the remains of a massive starship partially buried beneath an ocean floor. The Drell Imperium, first to discover Earth 3,000 cycles ago. They attempted colonization. Within 1 standard year, humans had reverse-engineered their weapons technology. Another image. A devastated world of shattered cities. The Drell homeworld, after humans launched a counter-invasion using captured vessels. Image after image told the same chilling story. Initial contact, human acquisition of technology, rapid human advancement, then devastating counter-invasions as humans weaponize the very tools of their would-be conquerors. The most recent attempt, Talmec continued, displaying footage of sleek, predatory vessels approaching Earth, was by the Morax hegemony 3 centuries ago. They were a warrior culture spanning 50 star systems. The next image showed the Morax homeworld engulfed in flames. This was 2 months after first contact. The humans reverse-engineered the Morax quantum shift drives and developed weapons the hegemony had never conceived. The Morax still exist, surely, Science Officer Mril Dax objected. Their cultural influence stretches across the Morax are extinct, Talmec interrupted flatly. Their colonies were systematically destroyed by human forces who believed themselves to be fighting a defensive war. The human ships withdrew only after confirming no Morax remained. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. "The danger classification isn't to protect us from primitives," Talmec concluded, closing the holographic display with a gesture. "It's to protect the galaxy from what humans inevitably become when threatened and empowered with advanced technology." As if summoned by those words, alarms began to sound throughout the outpost. "Multiple FTL signatures detected," announced the automated defense system. "Approaching from Sol system." Zextrol exchanged a grim look with Talmec. "They're already here." Outpost Kronos erupted into organized chaos as the alert sirens wailed. The civilian researchers and administrative personnel rushed toward evacuation shuttles, while security forces took defensive positions. 16 vessels approaching, reported the outpost's defense coordinator, a veteran officer whose exoskeleton hardened into battle configuration. Primitive design but incorporates advanced propulsion, definitely human origin. Commander Zextrol joined the outpost commander in the tactical center, where a 3-dimensional display showed the approaching human fleet. The ships were crewed by Confederation standards, clearly hastily constructed from Earth materials, but their engines glowed with the unmistakable signature of modified Confederation technology. "Time to intercept," the outpost commander asked. 7 minutes, came the reply. "Evacuation cannot be completed in that time frame." Zextrol studied the tactical readout. The human vessels moved with precision that belied their makeshift nature, maneuvering into a textbook containment formation that Zextrol recognized from the Confederation's own tactical manuals. "They're not just using our technology," Zextrol observed. "They're using our tactics." The ships entered visual range, appearing on the main display. Unlike the sleek, organic curves of Confederation vessels, these human ships were angular and utilitarian, bristling with improvised weapons. Most disturbing was the largest vessel at the center of the formation, a massive warship bearing the name HSV Vengeance in human script. They've achieved in days what took the Confederation generations, Archivist Talmec murmured, having joined them in the tactical center. Imagine what they will accomplish in months. Incoming transmission, announced the communications officer. From the human flagship. The display shifted to show the now familiar face of General Amara Chen, flanked by what appeared to be representatives from Earth's various nations and a team of scientists. Their expressions were stern but controlled. "This is General Chen of the Earth Defense Coalition," she stated without preamble. "Your vessel attacked our world unprovoked after we detected your surveillance. We have tracked you to this location." Zextral stepped forward. "There has been a grave misunderstanding. Our mission was scientific observation only. The demonstration of force was a regrettable error in judgment." General Chen's expression hardened. An error in judgment that cost lives. One of the human scientists beside her consulted a device before speaking. "Our scans indicate this facility contains extensive data archives. You will provide complete access to all information regarding the Galactic Confederation, species, technologies, star charts, and colonial holdings. You have 1 standard hour to comply," General Chen continued, "or we will demonstrate firsthand why your people classified Earth as a danger zone." The transmission ended, leaving the tactical center in stunned silence. "We cannot allow them access to the archives," the outpost commander insisted. "The security protocols. The security protocols failed the moment we contacted Earth," Zextral interrupted. "Look at those ships. They've already replicated our propulsion systems, weapons technology, and tactical formations. They tracked us across interstellar space. The protocols were designed to prevent exactly this scenario, and we've already failed." "Then what do you propose, Commander?" the outpost commander demanded. Zextral stared at the human fleet surrounding the outpost. Admiral Kex Talon's warning echoed in their mind. What they lack in technology, they compensate for with terrifying innovation under pressure. Fighting would be futile. Running was impossible. That left only one option. "I will meet with them," Zextral announced, "not as a prisoner or supplicant, but as a representative of the Confederation. If humans truly understand our technology this quickly, perhaps they can be reasoned with. And if they cannot?" Archivist Talmec asked quietly. Zextral's exoskeleton darkened with resolve. "Then we face extinction, like the 7 civilizations before us." The meeting took place on neutral ground, an asteroid facility hastily converted for diplomatic purposes. Zextral arrived with a small delegation, including Science Officer Mrildax and First Officer Telvax. The human contingent emerged from their shuttle wearing environmental suits adapted from Confederation designs, their faces visible behind transparent helmets. General Chen led the human delegation, accompanied by scientists and what appeared to be civilian leadership. Their postures conveyed caution rather than aggression. "This facility has been configured with an atmosphere suitable for both species," Zextral announced, gesturing to a chamber ahead. "We can speak without barriers." After atmospheric tests confirmed the Confederation representatives' claim, the humans removed their helmets. For many of the Confederation delegates, this was their first direct view of humans without intervening screens or surveillance devices. "You're smaller than I expected," General Chen remarked, studying Zextral's exoskeleton. "Your technology suggested a physically imposing species." "Technology can be deceptive," Zextral replied, "as your people have demonstrated." The initial diplomatic exchanges were tense but measured. When refreshments were offered, the humans declined, a prudent precaution that Zextral noted with grudging respect. "Let me be direct," Zextral began as they reached the core of discussions. "Your world was classified as a danger zone not because of your technological advancement, but because of your potential." "Explain," Chen requested, her expression unreadable. Zextral activated a holographic display showing the historical records from the archives. Earth has been encountered before, 7 times. Each contact ended in catastrophe for the contacting civilization. The humans exchanged glances but showed no surprise. You knew, Zextroll realized. An older human with silver hair stepped forward. We found archaeological evidence of non-terrestrial technology throughout our history. Fragments of spacecraft. Materials impossible for our ancestors to have created. We've been preparing for extraterrestrial contact for generations. Then you understand why the Confederation established a quarantine. Zextroll pressed. What we understand, General Chen replied, is that your observation was effectively espionage. When we detected your vessel, we tested your intentions. The revelation struck Zextroll like a physical blow. You were assessing us. A human scientist nodded. Your surveillance was detected within hours of your arrival. The captured landing party, the reflected energy beam. We needed to understand your capabilities and intentions. Had you simply announced your presence and requested diplomatic contact, another human leader added, this situation might have developed very differently. Zextroll's crew exchanged uncomfortable glances. The humans hadn't just been defending themselves. They had been methodically evaluating Confederation responses at each stage. How did you detect our cloaked vessel? Mril Dax asked, professional curiosity overriding protocol. A young human scientist smiled thinly. We've been searching for extraterrestrial life for centuries. Did you think we wouldn't have protocols for detecting visitors? Your ship disrupts natural radiation patterns. It was subtle, but noticeable to our orbital arrays. Zextroll processed this information, suddenly understanding that humans were not merely quick studies. They were prepared for this moment in ways the Confederation had never anticipated. What happens now? Zextroll asked. The historical pattern suggests your species will use our technology to expand rapidly, potentially threatening existing civilizations. General Chen leaned forward. That depends entirely on your actions moving forward. We don't seek conquest, we seek security. Your attack forced our hand. The negotiation reached its critical juncture as Zextroll proposed something unprecedented. Instead of inevitable conflict, what if humanity joined the Confederation as equals? The suggestion caused uproar among both delegations. Yet as heated discussions continued, both species recognized a fundamental truth. Humanity's adaptability paired with Confederation stability could either doom the galaxy or propel it into a new era. Depending on the decisions made in this asteroidal chamber, their future hung in the balance. 5 years later, Admiral Zextroll, now the Confederation's ambassador to Earth, stood before the Galactic Assembly in the Great Crystalline Chamber on Nexus Prime. Representatives from 800 species filled the terraced seating, their attention fixed on the annual Human Integration Report. Distinguished representatives, Zextroll began, their voice amplified throughout the vast space. 5 years ago, a classification error nearly led to galactic war. Today, I present not an apology, but a revelation. The holographic display activated, showing human colonies across 17 worlds, planets previously deemed uninhabitable by Confederation standards. Where other species had failed for centuries, humans thrived, adapting themselves to hostile environments rather than terraforming worlds to suit their needs. Humanity's expansion has proceeded at an unprecedented but controlled pace, Zextroll continued. Their colonies operate under joint oversight, adhering to the integration protocols established at first contact. Murmurs rippled through the assembly. Many representatives had opposed the controversial decision to integrate humans rather than isolate them. The historical precedent suggested catastrophe, yet the evidence before them told a different story. Their medical researchers, applying fresh perspectives to Confederation biological science, have cured 3 previously untreatable xenodiseases, Zextroll noted as the display shifted to show human doctors working alongside alien counterparts. Their engineers have improved propulsion efficiency by 27%. Their artists have created works that resonate across species boundaries. A representative from the Vextal Conclave rose to speak. Yet their military advancements have triggered an arms race among previously peaceful civilizations. How do you address these security concerns? Zextroll acknowledged the legitimate question with a respectful gesture. Humanity's defensive capabilities have advanced, yes, but observe how they've been deployed. The display showed human vessels patrolling alongside Confederation ships at troubled borders, protecting trade routes from pirates, and delivering aid to disaster zones. When questioned about the danger of uplifting humanity too quickly, I invite you to consider their historical timeline. The hologram shifted to show Earth's past, countless wars, near extinctions, and remarkable recoveries. Humanity wasn't shaped by peace, Zextrol explained. They evolved on a world that tried to kill them daily. Extreme temperature variations, predators, diseases, natural disasters. They survived it all, became the dominant species through innovation and cooperation under pressure. What other species might require centuries to process, humans adapt to in generations, or in times of crisis, mere days. Zextrol paused, gazing across the assembly. When we classified Earth as a danger zone, we were correct. Not because humans are inherently destructive, but because they are the ultimate survivors. When threatened, they unify. When challenged, they innovate. When given technology, they reimagine its very purpose. A profound silence settled over the chamber as Zextrol delivered the conclusion of the report. The question was never whether humanity belongs among the stars. They were always destined for them. The question is whether the rest of us are ready for a species that can turn any tool, no matter how benign, into a means of survival. The danger zone classification remains appropriate, but now, we're all living within it. As the session concluded, a small human delegation entered the chamber, Earth's first official representatives to the Galactic Assembly. Among them walked General Chen, now Ambassador Chen, her face showing the first signs of age that marked her short-lived species. She approached Zextrol with the formal greeting gesture they had established years ago. "Your speech was generous," she noted with characteristic directness. "It was truthful," Zextrol replied. "And a warning." Chen smiled slightly. "For them, or for us?" "For all of us," Zextrol answered, gazing out at the assembled representatives of galactic civilization. The true danger was never in making contact with humanity. It was in how we made contact. Together, they watched as the assembly chamber emptied, species who had been enemies for millennia now united by a common future, one forever changed by the species that had once been classified simply as danger zone.